What's going on? So I got to ask, was Richard Gere an average, good, great actor, or was it image? He's a very puzzling cat because, he's had some real interesting films. One of them that is hard to find, which was a long time ago, was Looking for Mr. Goodbar, that was like one of the movies that kind of broke him out. And then, of course, uh, when he did Officer and the Gentleman, which was the big time Oscar one for Louis Gossett Jr., which was huge. Um, Obviously, American Gigolo, Pretty Woman. He had these big hit movies with big time actresses, and he was like a leading man. He had a vibe about him, but how much of it was because he was necessarily a good or a great actor? Or was he in the right place at the right time? It's just one of those things. I mean, he didn't have a tough guy exterior. He was considered kind of smooth, but he wasn't like necessarily like that cool cat, but it worked. So he's kind of like he's one of those kind of cats that you kind of look at his films and you kind of like they were hits, but did they go anywhere because of his skills? He worked well in certain films and he filled a certain lane. But was it because the films were interesting? Like when I say American Gigolo, or I say Officer and a Gentleman, I say Pretty Woman, you can say, yeah, those were three big cultural films. However, in Primal Fear. However, do you look at the films because of his acting or because the films were written and he just happens to be? It's like putting someone behind the driver's seat and you got to drive the car. All they got to do is drive the car. It doesn't necessarily mean they were a good driver, a great driver, but they were just designated to drive it. And that's kind of how I look at his film career. It's not like you sit there and you're blown away. So I'd probably say slightly better than average with some good to great type of films, but it wasn't because he left this lasting impact of his acting chops. Imagery, he just seems to always fit a certain role. you know. And it's interesting when we talk about that because then you kind of like, that's an interesting look at someone who's been around because you got to be good at your craft to make it as long. But it didn't say that he was great and it didn't say that he didn't border on slightly better than average. It just, there's certain careers they happen to be at the right place, right time. And the particular film that they do, it just so happens to work. So it paints them in a light that the film is more than what their talent is. If that makes any sense. Because there's always artists and fields of people that you see that, okay, they were around long enough. They were what we call non-descriptive, but they were actually like crayons that you colored in and it worked. But it wasn't because that you were so blown over by what they did. And he just kind of falls in that line, as far as I'm concerned, you know. But you can always tell me differently of how you feel about Richard Gere. He's an interesting topic because of how his career's gone, and the totality of it. Again, um, I like the films that he was in. When I think of American Gigolo, Bill Duke's role was just as important as his, and obviously Louis Gossett Jr. rest in peace was just as important as Gears was, and also the Gentleman, so like when I think some of his biggest movies, no, it's just that they've had things that offset. But anyway, let me know what you think. Come down with Richard Gere. Average, good, great, or just imaged as far as his acting chops and his skills. Let me know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share if you like. Hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.